Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is stage 13 of the Tour de France. This could be another sprinter stage, or maybe it could blow all up to pieces. I don't know, but today's stage is brought to you by Ketone Aid. It's KE4 is what the pros like to drink for fast recovery after all these stages of the Tour de France. If you're looking to save 15% on your next order of Ketone Aid, make sure you use the code BUTTERFLY. Now let's get into today's stage 13 of the Tour de France. It's 166 kilometers, about 105 miles in length. And guys, I can't do it. This one is chaos from start to finish. If there's one you want to watch from start to finish, definitely stage 13 is. If you just looked at the results, you need more information, so you better tune into the Butterfly Effect. But like I told you, I'm going to leave something out. There's no doubt about it, because there's action packed all over the place. And before the riders even reach kilometer zero, we get the bad news that Primoz Roglic, Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, after crashing in yesterday's stage 12, he's not going to start today, so he's out of the Tour de France. That means we have three big-time favorites in the European peloton still left to do battle on this crazy stage 13. When the racing starts, like I said, kilometer zero, 166 kilometers to go. There's only two climbs in today's race. They come at 40 kilometers and they come at 30 kilometers to go. But they're less than 2 kilometers, 6%, and they're category 4 climbs. Should be a stage for the sprinter. That's what I told you guys yesterday on the Butterfly Effect after stage 12 finished. But today, well, there's different plans. We see right away from the tax, right of all the big names, that we get 22 riders in the front group. Visma Lease got a rider up there. It's Jan Tratnik, but they're not happy because Adam Yates, UAE team members, is up there. Remember yesterday in the Butterfly Effect, I told you guys UAE team members could have used some more tactics on the mountain stage before yesterday's. And when we're looking at today, well, Adam Yates is in this front group of 22. Now, if you're UAE team members, this is a great way to use Adam Yates, as long as the break is big. If it's 22 guys and Adam Yates is rotating through for 160 kilometers, that's not big effort on the legs if the group's this big. But let's say if it was 5 or 10, well, you don't want to put Adam Yates in a group that size, because then he's just going to wreck his legs. And tomorrow we get into the real mountain stages of back-to-back here at the Tour de France. But at this moment, 22 riders, it's a fantastic move for UAE team members. There's a bunch of other sprinter teams in there, like Lotto Destiny with Arnaud Delis. He's in there. And EF Education got 3 riders in this front group, and their sprinter, Vandenberg's up there. That means there's not a whole lot of power in the back when we're talking about sprint teams. But I told you, Adam Yates is up there, and he's just under 7 minutes on the general classification. The group's 22 riders strong, so there's no way Visma Lease can let this group go up the road. We go back and look at the peloton. Visma Lease on the front, Jayco Lula's on the front, and Soudal Quickstep's on the front. But guess what? It's not going to stay this way for very long, as we see Yves Lamparts from Soudal Quickstep. He's looking left right over. That's the big guy, Wout van Aert, and we're getting into some crosswinds. Once Yves Lampaert sees Wout van Aert over there with a host of Visma Lease bikes lined up behind Wout van Aert, because Jonas Vingegaard's there, Jorgensen's there, Laporte's there, Thies Benut's there, and I told you Wout van Aert's on the front. So Yves Lampart's getting on the radio. He's like, I can't do it. You guys better get to the front. The attacks are going to happen. Wout van Aert throws down big time. I don't like this tactic. I already told you. They had Quickstep pulling. You had Jayco Lula pulling. You had Visma Lease pulling. You could just put a few guys from each team on there, control this group of 22, and eventually they're going to know that they need to attack Adam Yates up there from UAE team members if they want to get a gap and get away from the GC guys chasing down Adam Yates. Well, the front group of 22 is rotating through up there with most of the guys, but Jan Tratnik, of course, he's not going to rotate through because Visma Lease back there and Wout van Aert's throwing down. Now with the acceleration from Wout van Aert in the crosswinds, we're going to look back there and see that it's Tadej Pogacar moving from a little bit to the right to the left, and he's gotten on this 10-rider group, and Remco Evenepoel's made this front group with Visma Lease. Now, to my disbelief, while I'm sitting on the Chesterfield, he said he had big balls, but I didn't think they were this big. Remco Evenepoel's rotating through with this group of 10. Tadej Pogacar's sitting on, though. He's wise. Pascal Ackermann, one of the loose anchors in here that got jumped onto the back, the sprinter there, but he's not rotating through either because he knows this is a GC battle right now. This has nothing to do with Pascal Ackermann, but if they can pull him up to the front group, fine. So he's sitting on getting a good draft back there as we're watching the, we'll call it the third group back there, the peloton, as we see Carlos Rodriguez miss the split. Now, if you look at this group of 10, it's not a wise move. If I take you back to the riders meeting, I'm going to tell you the exact same kind of strategy that I want to get through this stage 13 as I would have on the Gravelstone stage of stage 9 of the Tour de France. First priority, make it through safe. Don't lose any time. right? Stay with the butterfly effect, rule number 1. Don't break that. Stay with your team. Anytime you're without your team, just like on stage 9, like I told you, and it's certainly on a crosswind stage like this, you don't want to be without teammates. That's why Tadej Pogacar is not rotating through. He's got one teammate with him, but he doesn't have all his teammates. And right now, he's still with Remco and he's still with Jonas Vingegaard. And Primoz Roglic didn't start today's race. Now, Juan Ayuso's getting dropped out the back of the peloton. He's sick right now, and he's going to end his Tour de France too. So we're going to lose 2 riders in the top 10 on the general classification when this stage, before the stage started and early into this stage, with Juan Ayuso and Primoz Roglic not starting today's stage. Now, as we see this front group of 10 chasing the group of 22 up there, finally they're going to back off and they're going to get caught by the Ineos train back there with Ben Turner driving it like crazy. Egan Bernal was on the front. Geraint Thomas was on the front. Carlos Rodriguez was near the front. I didn't see him taking a pull, but he might have 4 Ineos guys drilling it. They'll bring back the group of 10 there because it wasn't a wise move anyways. Now we start looking at the group of 22. We're going to see attack up there and 4 riders are going away. Michael Kwiatkowski, and we're going to see Magnus Cort Nelson from Uno X as they're going away. EF Education missed the move. They had 3 riders up here and they couldn't get one of their 3 into this group of 4 that's attacking going up the road. So we're going to start seeing they're pulling on the back there with that group of 18 riders left. Then Palace is going to blow and they're not going to be capable of bringing back the 4 riders. It's going to get about 70 kilometers into the stage before the peloton brings back these 18 riders, but there's still a group of 4 up there. Now we're coming under 70 kilometers to go. The town is coming up. The peloton's going fast through the town. We look at the back of the peloton. It's a little wider there, but now as they're exiting the town, it's going to blow up magnificently here with 60 kilometers to go on stage 13 of the Tour de France. Visma Lease bikes on the front again, driving it like crazy. Look at the flags. They're all over the place, but they're not completely straight. It's got about 25-kilometer crosswind sections here on stage 13, and the peloton's blowing up all over. UAE Team Emirates are in the front group. Visma Lease bikes in the front group, and Soudal Quickstep's in the front group, along with Ineos. And at this moment, Remco Evenepoel, he's still pulling on the front. Tadej Pogacar's taking some pulls too. I don't think it's wise because, like I said, priority 1, get through this stage safe. Save your legs. Don't waste any energy and certainly don't lose any time. So there's no reason to be pulling at the front, even though this group is reduced down to about 50 guys. They're chasing 4 guys in front. There's another 50 riders in the back chasing them, and another, we'll call it 30, 40 riders back there someplace with Cavendish getting dropped from Astana as those guys are trying to come back on too. So the peloton's blown up all over, and we see that the first group and the second group are going to come together. So that group of 4 up front, they're caught. Now we got about 55 guys in this front group. Then we'll see the second part of the peloton. They're going to come back up to the first part of the peloton, and we're coming into about 40 kilometers to go. Now, we're coming up to the first of the 2 KOMs. So if you're a sprinter, you're having a hard day right now. It's been lumpy and bumpy. It's been crosswinds all over, single file, echelons all over the place, and we're coming up to the first of the KOMs. We're going to see the attack from Jonas Abrahamsen there and his teammate. They're tacking up the right side. They're going with 2 Lotto Destiny riders locked onto their wheel. They fly into the right turn to start the climb proper, but then they get brought back. We see the next attack coming up this first category climb. It's Richard Carapaz and Tobias Johannesson from Uno X. As these 2 riders are going up the road, they're starting to get a gap, and they'll go over the top of the first KOM here on stage 13 with Tobias getting maximum points. We look behind. Now we start seeing the MO. If I take you back to one of the riders' interviews of Wout van Aert, he says yes, he would like the option of being able to try to win today's stage 13. Then the journalist asks him, well, is this your last opportunity? And Wout van Aert gives him a look like, oh, no, this isn't my last opportunity, but I'd still like to give it a shot. So Wout van Aert's got Visma Lease bike on the front going over the first KOM. They drop down the KOM. We see that it's about a 15-second gap up to the 2 riders in front. Visma Lease bike's pulling up there, and they're starting to get some more help from a few of the other teams. Now, not much help. Visma Lease bike's doing a ton of work, but then once we come into about 23 kilometers to go, we're going to see my man Victor Campenaerts on the front. Now, Victor Campenaerts has already been a knucklehead, and he was back there pulling with the other GC favorites when they were on the front, but now he's on the front, and he needs to be there for a reason because they're chasing 2 riders, and Richard Carapaz and Tobias Johannesson. They still got a gap. So Campenaerts, my man, he's pulling full gas. And then we're going to see Max van Gils come up about 22 kilometers to go. Max Van Gils looks over to my man Vic and he goes, "My man, I got this under control. Take it easy." I bring this up because Campernauts is always the last to the party, coming up to his teammates going, "I got this. Don't worry. Take it easy." Now it's Max Van Gils telling the veteran, my man Victor Campernauts, "Take it easy, man. We got it under control." They come in to just over 20 kilometers to go. They're going to catch the two riders up front. Now the whole group's together. We're coming under 19 kilometers to go, and it's Stuyvesant from Little Trek. He throws an attack, and he's got some company with him with Brent Van Moor, Lotto Destiny. Now I'm sitting on the Chesterfield. I've seen Victor Campernauts attacking when he had his teammate in the front group of 22, and he was riding back there with that group of 10 that had Viz Melissa, Bike, and Remco Evenepoel rolling through with Wout van Aert. So he was pulling back there to bring him up. Now we see Brent Van Moor up here with Stuyvesant, and he's pulling. Guys, you have to pick and choose. You do not have the power to be covering all the attacks, to be riding in the attacks trying to get away from the peloton, and then to be riding on the front of the peloton pulling back attacks because you want a field sprint for Dali. You got to pick or choose. Instead, they're burning their matches all over the place with Brent Van Moor at the front. And we look back there, and there's chaos in the back as Viz Melissa bikes on the front, using up a ton of their energy because they want a stage win here for Wout van Aert, and this looks like a good opportunity. It's been a hard stage, but remember, Wout van Aert was blowing everything up way back there with about 135 kilometers to go, so you got to wonder where the big guy's legs are. Now, as we see these guys getting wrapped up with about 10 kilometers to go, and we look, it's Viz Melissa bike on the front. We get just under 5 kilometers. It's a drag race between UAE, Niels Paulette there on the left side with Tadej Pogacar behind him, and the Viz Melissa bike train. What are they drag racing for? Well, they got a chicane coming up of some rights, and lefts again, as we see Niels Paulette from UAE Team Emirates win the battle with Tadej Pogacar when they come through the technical corners. They come out of the corners. We're coming just over 3 kilometers to go. It's Jonas Abrahamsen, X, throwing in another attack. This kid won't stop. He was in the group of 22 riders at the beginning of this race. He was attacking, trying to go just before the first KOM when everything was back together. Now he's going again, and we're just about 3 kilometers to go. We look there, UAE team members that were pulling behind them, but they don't care about winning the stage, so they start backing off the throttle. Lotto Destiny get on the front, and they'll pull back Jonas Abrahamsen with about 2.5 kilometers to go. Now we're going under 2 kilometers at 1.9, and it's time to see Intermarché on the front. 4 guys on the front. Biniam Girmay sitting fourth wheel. It's looking really interesting at this moment with 1.9 kilometer to go with 4 Intermarché riders on the front, and the peloton is tired, wrecked. It's been a devastating stage. 13 here of the Tour de France, but Jasper Philipsen still locked onto the wheel just behind Biniam Girmay. Now up front with the 4 Intermarché riders, pulling full gas. They're coming into 1.2 kilometers to go. This is when the big surge starts to happen. Once we see our KS Samsic coming up the left side, that's Caprio right there, and he's leading Arnold Demar, his sprinter, coming up the left. Just to the right of them, that's Israel Premier Tech, and that's Pascal Ackermann sitting second wheel. In the center, well, that's Intermarché, but they're starting to blow. Over to the right, to the far right there, that's Viz Melissa bike. Now, as the 2 riders in front on the Intermarché team are starting to blow, one going to the left, one going to the right. It's Lawrence Rex that has to shoot between his 2 teammates with Biniam Girmay on his wheel. They come into the left turn. Lawrence Rex going full gas in his left, and we're coming into 1 kilometer to go with Lawrence Rex leading it. He's got Biniam Girmay on his wheel, and then we see that Wout van Aert and Laporte's in front of him. They're looking in fine position. Arceus Samsic's just over to the left side. We look further back down as we're under 1 kilometer to go. Well, we're going to look at Dali. Dali's got his teammate with him, and they're hitting about 950 meters to go. His teammate right there, that's Max Van Gils. Max Van Gils starts a massive acceleration with up front. We're talking still with Intermarché on the front, Lawrence Rex, Biniam Girmay, and Arceus Samsic Capio. Capio's legs are starting to blow just about 750, 800 meters to go. Caprio starts to blow. He looks right, he looks left, down the left side there as there's still an opening on the left, and we see Lotto Destiny's flying with Max Van Gils with Dali, his sprinter on his wheel, flying up the left side. Once all of a sudden Caprio looks right again, he's going to drift left, and he's drifting left the same time Max Van Gils is coming by the fencing. Max Van Gils has to put his shoulder hard into Caprio. Now guys, he's not putting his shoulder into him to crash him. He's putting his shoulder into him to brace for impact right now, because this is a huge one, and he does not have the force field on, so he's going to take the shoulder straight into Caprio from Arceus Samsic. Arceus Samsic rider, as he's hitting his shoulder and his arm there, his bike comes flying out from underneath him. Arceus Samsic hits the ground hard. Case Bowles goes flying into Arceus Samsic rider. Look at the front picture here as we see Max Van Gils. He's just shaking his head right now because he knows it was a close one. But his sprinter's back there locking up the brake, as we see DeLee just locking up the brakes coming into the pile there. He's got his foot out. He's got it going onto the railing. He saves it and stays up. But the whole peloton crashes all the way across the road. Tadej Pogacar made it through. Jonas Vingegaard made it through. But the group up front's only about 16 riders up there. It's left with all sprinters and one yellow jersey up there that made it through the crash, as everything else is blocked up there. Now, we look after the crash. I told you that up front, Intermarché was starting to get tired. Lawrence Rex, and he pulled off just as the crash was happening. Now, Christophe Laporte's on the front. We're hitting 700 meters to go. He's flying through the left turn. Wout van Aert's locked onto his wheel. We go further down. Pascal Ackermann's there. We see it's Nicolas Arndt right there that's sitting third, fourth wheel behind Wout van Aert. Then we look at Beniam Girmay and Jasper Philipsen there side by side as they're coming down through this corner, exiting out with 600 meters to go. Now, once we get into the last bend here at 500 meters to go, they'll exit out. Christophe Laporte still on the front. He's going all the way into about 310 meters to go. Then Christophe's legs, they start to blow. Now, the Frenchman, he makes a mistake right here. I don't care how bad they're blowing. You still got to stay on the front. You cannot blow and actually pull off. At 310 meters, 305 meters to go, thereabouts, Christophe Laporte pulls off. That leaves the big guy, his teammate, their sprinter, Wout van Aert, on the front. As Wout van Aert's on the front, he's coming into 275 meters to go. If I back the camera up to about 285, Jasper Philipsen has started his attack coming up the left side there at 285. Now 275. When I fast forward it up to Wout van Aert looking back, he sees Jasper Philipsen coming full gas. Wout van Aert gets on the throttle as he's already out of the saddle, starts his sprint at about 250. At 200 meters to go, Jasper Philipsen's got the lead over Wout van Aert. He'll pull in hard over to the right side of the barriers, clean, 100% clean. He's got the front wheel cleared of Wout van Aert, so he's got the lane to go right. He goes right against the barriers. Wout van Aert sitting second. Pascal Ackermann, he kind of threaded the needle just a little bit, but made it into third position on Wout van Aert's wheel. We're coming into 100 meters to go. Wout van Aert throws in his acceleration, trying to go up the right side, but he can't gain on the Belgian rider in front. His compatriot right now, Jasper Philipsen, going to the line. Looks a little bit over to his shoulder, knows he's going to win today, stage 13, sits up and celebrates a second victory here at the Tour de France. The Belgium kid is on form, and this time he did it all clean. I told you guys yesterday with 350 meters to go that Jasper Philipsen put in an impressive sprint. Today he went all the way to the line to win 2 stages here at the Tour de France, and he didn't need Mathieu van der Poel's help because Mathieu van der Poel already sat up a long time ago because he's in that group of 22 riders. But second on the stage, of course, was Wout van Aert as he threw his bike at the line. Third, Pascal Ackermann across the line right here for the German rider riding for Israel Premier Tech. Fourth, Beniam Girmay will protect the race leader's jersey here for green, that is, as he crosses the line fourth, only losing a few points up there to the winner, Jasper Philipsen. Behind, Tadej Pogacar rounded out this group of about 16 riders, and then everyone on the general classification all got same time, so no movement in the top 10, with the exception that 6th place, Primoz Roglic, didn't start today's stage, and Juan Ayuso dropped out of the stage 2 sick. So we get those 2 guys dropping out, but everything else stays the same after this magnificent stage 13 here into Po sprint finish. Jasper Philipsen, congratulations. It was a clean sprint. Every way I looked at it was clean. Now I go back to the crash there at 700 meters to go. I'll tell you right now, when we're talking Max van Gils, it was clean. There was nothing wrong. If you had to blame any riders, which I'm not blaming any riders, this was race situation. That's all it was. It was a clean crash, if you can call a crash clean. But Caprio, once he looked over to the right and drifted to the left, that left lane was open right there for Max van Gils. He's not putting his shoulder into the rider on purpose to crash him. He has to brace himself for impact. You don't want to hit handlebars. If you come through a hole like that and both riders hit handlebars, it's a 100% crash. If you come through and put your shoulder out and your head out like that and bump the rider first, you can brace for a little bit of impact. Hopefully both riders push off of each other and they don't crash. Of course, the speed from Max van Gils, he's going so fast, and Caprio had done such an amazing lead out from 1.2 to put his sprinter Arnold Demar into a good position that once he was blowing, his legs were done, so he was dropping speed fast. It was just a natural accident that happens sometimes in the professional peloton. Nothing was done on purpose. If you're watching any of the commentators tell you something different or something was in there that was wrong and they're putting the blame on Max van Gils, they're wrong. Max van Gils had the clean line. Caprio came over. He did the only thing he could do to try to save the bike. He saved himself. Unfortunately, Caprio went down in the stage and took down, of course, Case Bowles from Astana and the whole peloton back there that blocked up the road. But up front, Jasper Philipsen, congratulations. 2-stage victories here at the Tour de France, and going to get back into the green jersey fight battle here against Biniam Girmay. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys for tomorrow's start of the big time back-to-back mountain stages of the 24 Tour de France.